What's good, YouTube, and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be going over how to hit a site on Mirage and all the fundamentals that go into hitting a bomb site, when you should hit them, why you should hit them, and how you should hit them based off that information. And I'm not just going to rip some rounds from some pro demos. I'm going to go ahead and give you guys the tools to create your own executes and understand the theories behind why certain teams do what they do and what rounds you should do certain types of hits. So the first thing we need to figure out when we're trying to understand when to execute a bomb site is what is the CT setup. So if the CTs are playing 3 mid, which let's say it's 1 con, 1 window, 1 cat, this is a relatively heavy mid setup, and this would be a good round to hit A. But if the CTs, let's say, don't molly box, they don't throw a ton of mid flashes, they don't smoke bottom con, this doesn't look like they're playing on mid, which means they're probably playing on A. So what that will look like is a top mid smoke. You have a player go mid, maybe flash, come over here, molly con, and then you just chill. And it's important that you use this on your default as well, so it's good conditioning, and the CTs see this and they have to respect it. It could be you guys coming out mid, it could be you guys faking. You just want to keep the CTs on their toes, gather information if they're playing on mid, and make it look like you could really just be doing a mid default to try and mask your A execute. Usually how the CT setups function is they either play on A or they play on mid, so if you can determine which one they are on, that should be able to dictate where you should go in your round, and if they're playing on mid, then an A exec is probably going to work. But one of the big things you want to think about when you're executing a bomb site is what control are you going to try and hold in the post plant. So you can have spawn, you can have jungle, but you can't have both and you can't have neither. Here's what I mean by that. If you have both spawn and jungle, and let's assume that you traded 1-for-1 on the site player, so you guys are in a 4v4, this will look like 2 players spawn and 2 players jungle. Assuming the CTs retake with, let's say, 3 players in one area, either 3 players spawn or 3 players jungle, then one of your sides is going to be outnumbered, meaning one of your sides is weak. It would make a lot more sense to just have one very strong place to play post plant from, as opposed to trying to control too much and have both sides be relatively weak. What this means is if you do right side smokes, let's say you smoke jungle and you smoke stair, it probably makes most sense to take spawn. And if you have spawn, you should plant for spawn and try and play these crossfires on site. If you smoke top con and you molly jungle, and let's say you smoke spawn, you should probably plant for mid and play to hold onto jungle so you can play again these crossfires on site. Having both just gets overcomplicated and means you're usually going to be outnumbered on at least one side. And the reason why you can't play for neither is because in the retake, what the CTs are going to do is they'll probably just smoke you off palace, they'll molly you off firebox, let's say they have another smoke for ramp, then now you have essentially 4 players trying to play in 1, 2, 3 positions, and that's just pretty much impossible to hold. With that all being laid out, we can go ahead and get into the A executes.
Dasher, do you think they should check out today's sponsor, SkinPlace?
The sponsor for today's video is SkinPlace. You have skins, right? Well, you can safely convert those skins into cash in just seconds on SkinPlace. Just log into Steam, select the skins you want to sell, choose from their wide variety of payment methods like Ethereum, Bitcoin, Tether, and more, and once you put in your wallet address, that's it. It's super easy and only takes a single minute to completely set up your account. I traded 3 skins to SkinPlace, and within just a couple seconds I saw that money pop up in my crypto wallet. Use the link down below and get to selling. But don't forget to use code POLOCS for a 3% bonus on your first sale. Now let's get back to the video. So in this execute, you have one player coming up here. He has a drop smoke from his teammate, and he aims here, left, right click jump throw. It's just at the top of these bricks in the white line. This is a stair smoke. And then for the jungle smoke, you aim top left of this little eyesore peeking out of the building. Just normal throw, and this just smokes right side. After this happens, it's ideal that the player who threw smokes is then also throwing flashes. So they'll do a flash over ramp like this. When their teammates get out, they'll flash over palace to blind anyone who's default. That will just pop around this area, so if anyone tries to peek default, they're blind. A palace player will come over here onto the second pillar into the center and aim on the connecting part of this ceiling. And when they cross the doorway, that is when they will go ahead and release. So what it will look like is right side smokes, a molly on bench, usually coming out from the first player because he's probably dead anyway, so he should use his util. Right side smokes, bench molly, under palace molly, ramp flash over palace flash. This is the most basic form of an A execute. All the bases are covered. Under palace is molly. They can't run through bench. If there's anyone playing site, they're blind. This is just a pretty normal execute you see a lot in pugs, but it's important to understand the fundamentals on these kind of executes. For instance, the palace player shouldn't peek out palace. They clear this close palace area, they mollied under palace, but they don't peek CT until their players have scaled to default. Because if their players are coming out ramp, let's say they're around this area and this palace player peeks out and he dies, you are untradeable. So because Palace can peek out and within, half a second be peeking pretty much every angle on the A site, this Palace player on an execute should pretty much never peek unless his teammates have already scaled close into spawn or default. Another fundamental part of this execute is that the ramp player has another flash, either dropped from one of the first players or dropped at the beginning over here after this person dropped smokes. And the reason why this player should have another flash is that if you guys want to take spawn, he can go ahead and flash close spawn for you like this. And that flash just pops around this area, blinds any oppers holding right here, any riflers playing close, and anyone playing ticket. The other option you have on this execute is, let's say you guys dropped another smoke to this player and you guys want to take jungle on the right side smokes instead of taking spawn. What this player can do is he can come to this corner in Apex. He can go to the left of these bricks, jump throw, and then into this part of the ceiling, run throw molly. And what this will do is it will smoke top con, it'll molly off jungle so no one can peek in his cubby and kill you. And then after that, he could throw some sort of flash like this, just to blind anyone if they're sitting around the top con smoke, and you guys can take jungle instead. Everything that I'm explaining here fits into the fundamental concepts about hitting a site, playing good post plants, and stopping one side of the CT's retake. With the first execute out of the way, we're going to go ahead and get to the second one, which is just going to be a top con smoke, a jungle molly, and a few flashes into jungle to take. So the Palace player's role is going to stay the same. They're still going to molly under Palace, and they're still going to stay in Palace and pretty much hard bait their teammates. But what they're playing for now is anyone swinging out of spawn, killing their teammates, scaling bench. So he's just going to sit around this area, just chill, and wait for that contact on the spawn player. There's only going to be one player throwing a smoke on this execute, and there's only going to be one smoke on this execute. And what it's going to be is just a top con smoke. This is the best top con smoke you can throw on an A hit like this. You just come into this little black dot. You aim between the window and this side of the building, and you just running jump throw. What this does is it bounces off the wall, bounces over the building, and this top con smoke pops deep into con. So no one can sit here around the stair and kind of play like a one-way like last top con smoke would do from Apex. Rather, they're kind of exposed in the open, so if they get blind, they can't really duck away and hide. And if you time the flash properly, this will always be a free kill if this guy plays into stair. After this player throws smoke, he's going to come into ramp, and he's going to be part of the entry pack. You're going to have this guy going first. You're going to have another player running out behind him. And ideally, you have an op getting posted on spawn with a fourth guy who's back here throwing a flash for deep spawn to try and blind the opper off. This round is really, really good when you think that they just leave an op ticket and then the rest of the rifles play on mid. Because the op is essentially useless. He gets blind, tucks away. If he repeaks, there's an opper posted on him. And if he doesn't repeak, then again, your teammates have all of jungle. And usually this guy who's throwing these flashes, he just throws one, he runs up, his teammates scale out, op gets posted, and then he throws a flash for jungle for your teammates to take. When the top con smoke gets thrown, the second guy is going to go ahead and molly jungle, something like this. Make sure it hugs close to the wall so it doesn't bounce off this and bounce back. And if that happens, it allows them to play in the cubby. This won't tick into deep jungle like my other molly, but if you just hug close sandwich and scale this way off of the flash, you don't have to worry about crossing that line. The player who's throwing the flashes is usually going to have bomb, and after he flashes jungle, he can come out here, re-molly deep jungle like the one I was talking about, with teammates already close jungle, a top con smoke, and op posted on spawn under Palace clear, a person Palace ready to trade. He could plant for mid, he could plant for jungle. Just be aware that this Palace player has to hold his spawn peak, his close peak, while this plant's going off, because obviously this operator can't hold it. And then boom, after this execute, you have jungle control, bomb down, and your setup is really good. Now you could keep doing more different elaborate executes with different pathing, different controls, or ways of taking control in post plant. But I think I got the baseline way of hitting A down, and you guys can go ahead and use the concepts I've talked about to create your own kind of executes based off this. So with that being said, the third way of hitting A is not going to be an execute, and rather it's going to be a split. So you remember at the beginning how I was saying you have to throw some sort of mid pressure every single round you do an A execute to try and figure out if the CTs are playing on mid or if they're playing on A. If they're playing on A, maybe not do the execute, but you need the information to try and understand what the setup looks like that you're running into. If you throw this top mid smoke, con molly, and a couple flashes on your normal default, and you've used this util to do an A execute before, then in the same game, you could do essentially the same setup on mid, smoke top mid, molly into con, flashes mid, and then have your teammates do the execute with two of you guys walking out mid. So what this will do is, because you've already hit A before off this same util, the con player will probably bite on this fake. The cat player might get a bit lazy and maybe try and rotate fast because you've already hit A off of this. And the two players in mid could get the kill on the cat guy. If the cat guy doesn't get lazy and doesn't come off cat, you could just double flank con. And when these players get the kills on con, or get the kills on the jungle player, that's when the A players start speeding up. It's also important for the A players on this little fake where, let's say you do right side smokes and you molly bench, that this player tries to come out to like Tetris and just fight. And you want to make it look like an A hit. You don't want to just throw the util and say job done. You want to make it look like an A hit. You want this under palace player or the spawn player to say they are out ramp, which will prompt the con player or the cat player or the window player to make their rotates. This is a very basic example of a split. You could do it by throwing this util and then going to underpass instead and maybe boosting window off of this. But there's a lot of different combos you can do with A hit, mid lurk, A hit, mid default, A split, right? There's a ton of different combos you can do. But the point of this video is to just give you guys the fundamental understandings of how to create these on your own and how to read why and when you should hit A site. Originally, this video was going to be a how to hit sites on Mirage, and I was going to go into B as well. B site will be my next video, but honestly, this A site thing has taken me like 30 minutes to record. I don't think I could fit this all into one video and I'd keep your guys' attention. So I'm going to split it into 2 parts. The next video will be B site. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed, don't forget to drop a like and a sub. If you guys want coaching, I'll leave my coaching link down below. You can go ahead and book me. I stream all my coaching sessions over at my Twitch. I stream every single day. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.